Hello, hello. I'm Brian Manning. This is the Asylum Answers Show. Good afternoon, good morning. I'm Brian Manning. You're watching the Asylum Answers Show. I'm an ex-asylum officer turned asylum lawyer, and I'm here to answer your questions about winning asylum in America. This is the Asylum Answers Show, and I want to know what's on your mind. What are you thinking about your asylum case, and what questions do you have for me? This is your opportunity to get the insider perspective. I've worked on the other side of the desk. I've been the person who does that asylum interview that you're going to go through, on which so much is riding, on which so much depends. Hello on TikTok. Welcome. God Willis, Alexandra Padro, good morning. Stella, hello. Good to see you. Hey, Badru, over on YouTube, we got Badru says hello from Massachusetts. We got Muhammad says hello from New York. These guys know the drill. I love to hear where you guys are watching from. TikTok, let me know where you're watching from. Love to hear where you guys are at. I'm in Texas. My law firm is based in Texas. But look, we help clients all over the country. So honestly, it does not matter where you live. We help people like Badru up in Massachusetts. We have lots of clients in New York, lots in California, lots in Florida, up around Denver, Atlanta, all these places in between. We have clients all over the country, and we love helping people all over to secure their future in America through asylum. That's what we do all day, every day. And I want to answer your questions now about winning asylum. So let me know what's on your mind. After you say hello and let me know where you're watching from, then ask me your questions. Oh, we got Ethiopia over here. Emmanuel, thank you for checking us out all the way from Ethiopia. Nice. Hello. Welcome on TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. I'm Brian Manning, asylum lawyer. I'm going to answer your questions today about winning asylum in the United States. But before I get to your questions, let me address this issue. Beware of immigration scams, okay? Guys, I've been seeing this a lot lately. People pretending to be immigration lawyers, but also immigration lawyers who are effectively scamming you because they are so incompetent and put so little effort into your case and know so little that it's almost like it's a scam, because you're paying them a lot of money for virtually nothing, and you're paying them for money that could in some cases really just be counterproductive. Like they can actually hurt your case more than they help it. But look, you'll see on social media, like on TikTok, we see this all the time, that people will create a profile that looks like my profile picture and that has a name very similar to like my username, my handle on TikTok or other social media channels. It's very similar. It's just off by one or two numbers or a tiny bit different. And they'll say, hey, message me on Telegram. And they'll try to get people to start a conversation with them over on Telegram. And then eventually they'll say, oh, send me money for the consultation or send me money for advice. And it's actually happened. People have done it. People have gotten ripped off like this before by these unethical immigration scammers. All right. We do not communicate with clients or potential clients by Telegram. All right. If you want to talk with us, you do that by scheduling a consultation on our website. You schedule that at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Again, winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation with us. We do have a WhatsApp number, and we, of course, have an office phone number that you can use to contact us. But we do not use Telegram. If someone reaches out and asks for money by way of Telegram, it's a scam. It's not us. Okay? We do charge right now for a consultation. It's $97 at the moment. But you pay that through our website, winasylum.com, or you can do it over the phone if you want to give us a call to set that up. Okay, but otherwise, don't give people money if they're acting like us, but they're not really us. Also, look, there's a lot of people out there that offer services as what they call like, oh, I'm an immigration services provider. I'm a document preparer. I'm a form filler. I'm an immigration paralegal. I'm an immigration specialist. That means they're not a lawyer. If they're not willing to say they're a lawyer, it probably means they're not a lawyer, right? You listen to me. You do not want to put your case, your trust in these people that are not lawyers. I can tell you from my experience as an asylum officer, I saw tons of cases ruined, absolutely ruined by people who were not lawyers, but rather were these like notarios or form preparers or immigration helpers that are not, they're not good enough. They don't know what they're doing. Okay. They're not licensed. They're not governed and like monitored by a board and by an oversight body in the same way that we attorneys are. We attorneys are licensed. We had to take an exam and had to have background checks and had to go through ethics requirements and able to even get a law license. And then every year we have to do continuing legal education to make sure we're keeping our skills sharp, that we continue to learn. And we'll get in trouble. If we do certain things or mess up or do something that's unethical, we can actually get in trouble and lose our license and lose our livelihood. These notarios, these so-called, form preparers, these people aren't subject to all of that. They don't have those same requirements that keep them accountable and keep them honest and make sure they do a good job, okay? Do not trust your case with someone else. Look, I know that it's cheaper to go hire, someone that you heard about through your community, through your family that, is supposed to be an immigration professional. Don't trust your case to those people. I saw this all the time when I was an asylum officer, that those cases get messed up. They don't know what they're doing. They will make massive errors in your asylum application form, or if they help you with supporting documents, or if they give you advice for preparing for your asylum interview, they're going to mess your case up, okay? And in the asylum office, those cases get flagged. When we see, as an asylum officer, when we saw that someone had been helped in filling out their application form by a form preparer who was not a lawyer, those cases get red flagged. They get extra scrutiny. They get looked at suspiciously, okay? Don't be that person that comes in with a case, and because the officer is going to ask you at your interview, they're going to say, did anyone help you filling out your application form or in preparing the documents you submitted in support of your case? And you need to be honest and tell the truth, right? Always be honest. So when you say yes and they say, oh, was it a lawyer? And you say, no, well, it was some guy who says he's a paralegal or a document preparer. I believe at that moment are going to get looked at with a lot more scrutiny. They're going to be a lot more suspicious of your case. Okay. That's really what I think based on my experience as a former asylum officer. Okay. Don't do that. I know it's expensive to hire a good lawyer, but it's worth it. All right. As they say, there's a saying, sometimes there's a saying that you get what you pay for, right? I think that's true very often. I think it's definitely true when it comes to finding the best asylum lawyer to give you the best possible chance of winning your case, of securing your future in America through asylum. That's what we help immigrants all over the country to do every day. And by the way, we're winning. We're winning asylum cases. Yes, it's hard with Trump. I do think the approval rates are going to go down with Trump. But look, we won last time under Trump. We're continuing to win now. We got, 4 or 5 approvals just last week alone. We're going to keep winning cases, okay? It's hard. You're going to have to put together a better case than ever to win under Trump, but it's not going to be impossible. We're going to keep doing it for our clients, all right? That's what I wanted to say. Be careful. Watch out there for scams from people acting like lawyers. Look, if you're not sure whether they're a lawyer, they should have a website that says they're a lawyer. Even then, though, if there's any reason to be suspicious that you think they might not actually be a lawyer, they could be lying about it because that happens, then you can check with the State Bar Association. You can ask them, of what state bar are you a member, and can you show me proof of that? Okay. All right. We got Willie Rogers says, hello, I'm watching from Philadelphia. Nice. Sahid says, hey, Brian. Good to see you, Sahid. Thanks for being here. Badru, is it safe to travel international on a combo card A05 category with the pending I-485? I think so. Don't go back to your home country, Badru. But yeah, I think otherwise it's pretty safe. There's always a little bit of risk, Badru. There's always a little bit of risk when you leave the United States, if you're not a U.S. citizen, there's always a little bit of risk that you might not be let back in. But I think that risk is low enough. As long as you don't have a criminal history, a criminal background, I think the risk of any problems, as long as you have that the advanced parole document, then I think it's okay. Okay. We got Marion 55 says, hey Brian, is it possible to apply for the EAD as soon as I hit the 150-day mark? Form filing the I-589, and will the EAD be approved by day 180? Good question. The question is this: when exactly should you submit your application to get your work permit based on your pending asylum case, and when will it actually get approved? So look, you have to wait 150 days. So people ask, oh, Brian, should I do it on day 150 or 151 or whatever? I'd say, look, probably day 151 is probably safer, just to ensure that someone doesn't say, oh, this is too early. Okay. I'd wait till day 151 and then submit your application. Now look, they can't actually approve it until you've reached 180 days. You can apply at 150. I recommend 151. They can approve it at 180. In practice, for first-time applicants, it usually takes about a month and a half before you get your approval and you get your actual card in the mail. So if you apply at day 151, from that time, about a month and a half. So really we're looking at about 6.5, maybe 7 months until you're able to get that work permit in your hand after you've applied for asylum. Okay, that's how the timeline works. Alrighty. Yeah, so questions. What questions do we have about asylum in the United States? We got Opeyamika, sorry for mispronouncing that. Lawal says, hey, hello, Brian. Thanks for the good job you're doing and the advice. My pleasure. Glad to be here supporting the asylum seeker community. It's a pleasure and an honor. We love what we do in my law firm. We're honored and happy to help people secure their future in America through asylum, which is what we do all day, every day. The top 5 says, well, anyone who came from Canada, from third country, land in Canada, and then came to the USA and applies for asylum with USCIS on the interview day, will the asylum officer just reject on the basis because you came from Canada? Good question. The question is this. Will your asylum case get denied if you were in Canada before you came to the United States? Look, there is this thing called a safe third country agreement that the US and Canada have. Now, typically, though, that only serves to block you from getting asylum if you go from one country to the other across the land border and you have contact with authorities like at the time of crossing or at the border. Then they just literally take you back to the other country. They don't let you come into their country. They say, oh, safe third country agreement. You need to go. You went to Canada first, and now you're trying to come to the U.S. No, we're taking you back to Canada. You should have applied for asylum there. Try to apply for asylum there. That's what normally happens under the safe third country agreement. Under any other circumstance whereby you were in Canada at some point and now you're in the U.S. and now you're having an asylum interview at USCIS, pretty safe. Now, I can't say 100%. Pretty safe to say, though, that the officer will not try to argue that the Safe Third Country Agreement Act serves to bar you from getting asylum in the United States. So I think you'll be okay, is what I'm saying. Okay. All right. Freedom Spirit says, in a defensive asylum case, is it possible to adjust status based on marriage? The question is this. If you're in immigration court proceedings fighting your asylum case and you get married to a U.S. citizen, can you adjust status? In other words, get a green card based on this marriage case while you're in deportation proceedings in immigration court? And the answer is yes. This is one of those applications that the immigration judge can actually decide. The judge you can file the petition. You have to file the petition with USCIS, but then the judge actually looks at the green card application and decides whether you get asylum, and you can present that case and explain that case to the judge. And the judge can give you your green card based on that case. Now, look, you may also be able to get the case dismissed from immigration court entirely, and then you can have the whole process be with USCIS instead of immigration court. Usually that is favorable strategically, but it depends. It's not always. You should talk with an immigration lawyer about this before deciding how best to proceed. But yeah, look, I recommend you keep pursuing both paths, for now at least, at the same time. The green card, and don't give up your asylum case, though, until you get that green card in your hand, okay? Yep. Jesus Christ is Lord says, hi, Brian. Foremost, thank you for the great service to asylum seekers in the U.S. God bless you more. Thank you. Appreciate that. My question is, do I apply for a SSN at the same time I apply for EAD? Good question. The question is this. How and when do you apply for a social security card and social security number? Look, we're talking here about this card that you get that has a number on it that is kind of important in everyday American life. You're often asked about this, when you go to apply for a job and certain other contexts as well. It's kind of like our national ID number. It's the closest thing we have to a national ID number. And it's good news. It's easy to get the same time that you apply for your work permit, your EAD, which stands for Employment Authorization Document. That's your work permit, right? That you get based on your pending asylum case. Well, the application form for the EAD actually contains a space that says, do you also want a social security card? And you just check the box to say, yes, I do. And then that's how you apply for it. It's on the EAD application form. You say, yes, I also want a social security card. Usually you get the work permit first in the mail. And then usually about 2 to 3 weeks later, then in the mail, you get the social security card. That's usually how it works. And there's no extra cost. So that's good. Okay. Willie Rogers says, can one withdraw his case from a lawyer where he or she is suspicious of the individual who filed the case cannot represent him well? Good question. The question is this. Is it possible to just change lawyers after you've already started your case? Like if you hired a lawyer and maybe they helped you file the application for asylum, but then you become convinced that they're not the best person to help you, that they're not going to give you the best possible chance to win your case. Can you just drop them and hire a new one? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no problem at all with that. In immigration court, you technically the new lawyer would need to technically ask the judge to be substituted to come into the case and be the attorney recognized in the case, but the judge will say yes. Unless you ask it like maybe on the day of the day before the individual hearing, but outside of that, it's like they're going to say yes. If the asylum office, it's even easier. You don't have to ask permission or anything. The new lawyer just files the G-28, the form that says, I'm the person's lawyer. And then from that moment on, USCIS considers that new person the lawyer. And look, it's not looked at with skepticism or anything or as a negative thing. It's normal. It happens all the time. Changing lawyers will not hurt your case. So you should consider it. You want to have the lawyer that you think gives you the absolute best chance of winning your case. Given how important this is, you shouldn't, to your future, you should not just lay back and sort of stick by someone that you think might do an okay job or whatever. Find the best person that you think will give you the best chance to win your case and go with them. Okay. Look, if you want to talk with us about that, about changing over to have us take over your case, or if you haven't applied yet and you're thinking about applying, we should talk. You can schedule a consultation with us. In fact, you can do it right now. Just open up a new browser or a new tab or whatever on your phone and go to winasylum.com. That's WINASYLUM.com. 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 It's super quick and easy to get that scheduled. TikTok, you're missing out on the cool graphics, but everyone on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, you're seeing on my screen now a graphic of what it looks like when you go to winasylum.com. I just want to show you how quick and easy it is to get set up with a consultation with us. All right. Again, you can schedule that right now at WINASYLUM.com, winasylum.com. Okay. We want to talk. We want to see what's going on in an asylum strategy session. We want to get to know you, get to know your immigration goals, your priorities, and talk about your situation, get to know your underlying case, and then tell you whether we think that we're in a position to support you. If we think that we are, we'll tell you how. We'll tell you concretely like what the exact steps would be that we would take to maximize your chances for asylum success. All right. Good guy on YouTube says, hello, love your messages. Thank you. Appreciate that. Loic from Shingi and Panga says, hi, Brian. It's being advised to have an immigration lawyer nowadays if you have a pending asylum case. How helpful, practically speaking, a lawyer can prevent an asylum seeker to be deported? Look, let's address it like this. The question is this. Is it a good idea to have a lawyer these days, given the crackdown from the Trump administration and all of these mass deportation, all this hysteria coming with it? And, look, can a lawyer actually help you if ICE decides it wants to deport you? Definitely, I think if you are an asylum seeker or considering applying for asylum, yeah, absolutely talk with an asylum lawyer. Okay, can they keep you from getting deported? Well, look, they can definitely, a good one can definitely advise as to how to put together the strongest case possible to give you the best chance of winning your case. But when it comes to trying to prevent a deportation, there's limited circumstances, very limited, in which an attorney might be able to explain something to ICE or negotiate in a way that would keep them from arresting and deporting you when they've decided they want to. But that's the chances of that happening are rare. If ICE decides they want to deport you, it's unlikely that a lawyer can help. But the thing that you should be hiring a lawyer for, if you don't have one, in my opinion, is the strategic guidance that you get in building and pursuing your asylum claim to give yourself the best chance of winning your case so you can stay safe and stay here. Okay, that's what I think. All right. Hannah says, "Hey Brian, I came to the border 10 months ago, and I got denial in immigration court, and I apply for TPS, and I get an appointment for biometrics. Am I safe to go to USCIS for biometrics?" Look, I think that you should show up for every immigration appointment that you're asked to show up for. Okay. Is there a chance of being detained and deported? There is some. There's some. Anytime that you, that you don't have legal immigration status here and you have contact with federal employees, I mean, yeah, there is some risk. But should you do it? I do recommend that people go to their scheduled immigration appointments. If you can get TPS, that's a way to protect yourself. Almost certainly protect yourself against being deported. So, it's something that you want. I think you should, if anyone who might be eligible for TPS, yeah, I think they should pursue it. Okay. Iftikhar Shishir says, how about a Jew from an Islamic country, bro? All right. So, and then if Dakar says, been following you for a long time, want to secure an appointment with you, that's super easy. If Dakar, I'm going to check after this live and look on our calendar and see if you're on there. Go literally right now to winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. It's super easy to schedule the consultation there. I want you to get on our calendar so we can talk, or you can talk with one of my colleagues. Okay. Super easy, quick to get set up with us. All right. winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. But the question you asked was, how about a Jew from an Islamic country? Does that make good for a good asylum case? The question is this: do you have a good chance at winning your asylum case if you're a religious minority in your country and bad things happen to religious minorities? Like, for example, the question specifically here was, what about a Jewish person from predominantly Islamic country or an officially Islamic country where Islam is the official state religion? Well, that in and of itself wouldn't be enough to win asylum, but depending on the circumstances, I might say, yeah, I think you have a pretty good chance. I would need to know about first of all, what country you're from would help with part of that, but I still, even then, would want to know about your specific circumstances, whether you personally have had problems because of your religion, or whether people around you, like your friends and family or people that are close to you, have had problems because of their religion. So we need to talk in detail about your situation before I can tell you, yeah, I think you have a good chance or a decent case or not so much. We want to work through this and to ask you a bunch of questions and talk through it in an asylum strategy session, which you can schedule at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. Let's talk about this. Go to winasylum.com. All right. Nice. All right. We got Kajali Darboe says, hello. Good to see you. Marat Yava says, it's so nice to view your videos. We completely appreciate it. I have an interview next week. My question is, USCIS is hiring an interpreter in asylum cases. Good. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. Marat, have you seen my playlist of videos? I hope that you're watching them before your interview next week. Let me see if I can figure out how to show this. I'm going to show you on my screen where to find these because I think you might find this potentially really helpful. Hold on. No, wait, hold on. Browser. Where did you go? There it is. Boom. There we are. Yeah, so you're seeing now on my screen, right? This is the Political Asylum Lawyers YouTube page. For those of you on TikTok, you're missing out on this screen share. For people on TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, go to YouTube, or those of you on YouTube as well, go to YouTube and search for Political Asylum Lawyers. This is what the page looks like. Once you get there, if you're trying to prepare for your asylum interview, I want you to go to playlists up here at the top. And then under this different playlist, there's two different playlists that you need to look at. One is this one that says full-length asylum trainings. Those are like, we've got some really long.
Okay, detailed, looks like everyone is in.
Detailed trainings. Over on the right, you can see we've got, these are all long. Like look, this one at the top is almost 2 hours. This one's an hour and 43 minutes. This one's 37 minutes. This one's almost 3 hours about how to fill out the asylum application form. All right. So those are detailed trainings. But then also there was one of them that is, where did that go? It says asylum interview.
Your performance at your
That's got all the videos with all my best tips about the asylum interview, including, I think I've got some of the long form trainings in this playlist, but also there's a bunch of shorter ones too that are 7, 8, 10 minutes about things that you need to know to prepare for your asylum interview. So my recommendation is before your interview next week, you should go and watch all of those. Like seriously, go watch all the videos in my playlist asylum interview and all the videos in the playlist full length asylum trainings. Okay. Good luck with the interview next week. All right. Let's see. Did you have a question? Oh, my question. Yeah. Sorry. I went down a rabbit hole. Murat says, my question is hiring an interpreter and is USCIS hiring an interpreter in asylum cases? No, you got to take your own. Look, the question is this: if you want to speak your native language at your asylum interview, or really any language other than English, do you need to take your own interpreter, or will USCIS handle that for you? So the answer is you got to take your own. Look, during COVID and for like a couple of years actually after the end of the worst of COVID, USCIS was providing interpreters for people like by phone telephonically, but they're not anymore. Now you have to bring your own. Okay, you have to bring your own interpreter. It's actually really important. If you don't speak English super fluently, then you should use interpretation. It's better to use interpretation and make sure that you understand everything than it is to be like, oh, I'm pretty good at English. I'm pretty confident. I guess I'll do it in English. Don't do that. Do it in your own language, but yes, take your interpreter with you. Make sure it's a professional, not your cousin, not your friend who's pretty good at both languages, a professional interpreter, ideally someone who has experience at the asylum office with this very specific terminology that is used there. It's really important to have a good interpreter, okay? The communication is absolutely critical. All right. Good luck with your interview next week, Murat. I hope it goes well. Okay. Auto Body Master says, I have a question regarding our recent individual hiring process. Do you mean hearing? It's been about a month since the interview and we haven't received any updates or decisions yet. Could you please give some advice, some info, please? Was it an asylum interview or immigration court hearing? Well, I guess either way, it doesn't matter. It's like you're going to get the answer eventually. If it's the asylum office and you applied for asylum several years ago and now you're waiting for your decision over a month, you could consider suing to force them to give you a decision. Okay. You can reach out to them once, send them an email or reach out to them until they get back to you. They're probably just going to respond with, okay, thanks. We'll look into it. It's processing. We'll let you know when it's done. We'll give you the decision later. If you applied for asylum several years ago, you should look at suing the government to force them to give you your decision. All right. Good Guy says, I'm like 4 years in the USA. I didn't know about asylum. I'm so stressed. Don't know what to do. Any suggestions, please? Well, Good Guy, look, if you fear being harmed in your country, then I think it's probably worth talking with an asylum lawyer about whether it might make sense to apply because there are exceptions to the 1-year filing deadline. So look, I mean, really at heart, at bottom, the question is this. What if you've already been in the United States for several years and you haven't yet applied for asylum? Should you apply anyway if you fear being harmed in your country, or should you not because of, the 1-year filing deadline, the rule that says that you need to apply during your first year? What should you do? You should talk with an asylum lawyer. Look, there's 2 categories of exceptions to the 1-year filing deadline. So yeah, it's true. There's a rule that says you need to apply in your first year. If you don't win asylum. You can't win asylum unless you qualify for one of the 2 categories of exceptions called changed circumstances, and the other one is called extraordinary circumstances. Now, this is a tricky area of law. There's a lot of nuance that an asylum lawyer is going to need to ask you a lot of questions about and sort of work through to see if you might qualify for one of these categories of exceptions. Okay. So look, it may still be worth applying. You may still have a chance to get around the 1-year filing deadline. You need to get an analysis of that and have a lawyer sort of explain to you the pros and cons and the risks of applying after 1 year. Okay. So you should talk with an asylum lawyer. All right. We'd be happy to talk with you. We are at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule right now a consultation with us. Go to winasylum.com, winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com. All right. We want to talk with you. So go there now and schedule your asylum strategy session with us. Uh, Claire says, "Hello, Brian. Thanks for the good work. You're welcome. My EAD was denied due to the clock. Should I just reapply after some time or appeal?" Claire, it depends. Why was the clock stopped, and do you agree? Like, did their reasoning make sense? Is it accurate? Like, you just applied too early? If you just applied too early, legitimately, then you should just wait until you reach 150 days. But if the clock was stopped and hasn't yet restarted, that's a different problem. That's a problem where you might need to really, escalate basically within USCIS to try to get it overturned. Okay, so it depends, Claire. I can't really tell you based on that information, what you should do. All right. My cousin got harmed last 2 years based on the same harm I fled for to U.S. Can I use his experience harm as part of my affidavit in immigration court hearing? You mean use an affidavit from him, Obey-Mika? Is that what you mean? Are you talking about using a declaration from him, or are you talking about that in your own declaration? I mean, the answer to both is yes. You can do both, okay, and you maybe should do both. I'd probably want to talk with you about it and talk to see how we would use that before deciding to ask that person for a declaration, your cousin. All right, but the general answer is yeah, it could be a good idea to do both those things. Okay. We've got a question here on YouTube. My question is in regards to the protocol of the immigration system. Can I do it myself, or does USCIS only take cases brought through by an attorney? The question is this: can you apply for asylum with USCIS by yourself without a lawyer, or will they reject your case and only accept cases that are brought with an attorney involved? You can do it by yourself. You can totally do it by yourself. Look, approval rates are higher for people with a lawyer. And there's a lot of value that a lawyer can add. I think, if I think that you have a chance to win your case, then I will also think that we could help you to increase those chances for success significantly as compared to doing it yourself. So it's really a question of, do you want to maximize your chances for success? But you can file on your own. Your claim is not going to get denied or kicked back to you just because you don't have a lawyer involved in the case. All right. But I think you should seriously consider, at least talk with a lawyer first before you decide to do it on your own. You might come away from that call convinced that a lawyer is worth having on your side. Okay. All right. Iftikhar says, I love you. Thanks. Got your attention. You made my mind calm. I'm glad to have calmed your mind. Thanks for the kind words. How long does the entire asylum process take? And if you're denied, can you pursue it further? Good question. The question is this: how long does the entire asylum process in the United States take? Well, look, it depends on a lot of things. Principally this: whether your case is in immigration court with an immigration judge or instead with USCIS. If you're in deportation proceedings, this is mainly for people that came to the border, right, without a visa, then your case is going to be in immigration court, and that's probably going to take longer right now, probably 2 or 3 or 4 years, 2 to 4 years to get a decision. As where right now, for people that are with USCIS, who mostly that's people that came on a visa and then later applied for asylum, that's going fast right now for most people. Most people who apply right now with USCIS are getting their interview pretty much right away, within 1 to 3 months of applying, and then often getting a decision a few weeks or months after that. So it's going quite quickly for most people in affirmative asylum proceedings with a USCIS asylum office, but probably a few years for people in immigration court. Okay. The other part of the question was, if you get denied, can you pursue it further? The question then is this: what happens if your asylum case gets denied? Can you appeal? Can you do anything else to keep fighting your asylum case? Look, if your case is with USCIS, right, you have what's called an affirmative asylum case at the asylum office, and you get a negative decision where they say you're not eligible for asylum. What happens next? They look at the moment that they're making that negative decision at what your immigration status is at that very moment. And if you do have legal status, like you have TPS or you have student status or your tourist status is still valid, then nothing else. Well, they give you a notice of intent to deny and say, we plan to deny you for the following reasons. You have 16 days to respond in writing and try to change our minds. If you don't change their minds, you get what's called a final denial, and it's final. Like the name says, you can't appeal it, but you don't get put in deportation proceedings. You just stay with whatever your other status is until it expires. However, if at the time of the negative decision from USCIS, you do not have legal immigration status, then you get put in deportation proceedings. Your case is sent to immigration court, where it's kind of like an appeal because you do have a chance there to explain your case again to the judge, and the judge decides whether you get asylum. So it's bad to be in deportation proceedings because you're at risk of possibly getting a deportation order, but you do get a second chance to try to win your case. Okay. All right. Yamika says, sir, I have some inconvenience during my interview with the Asylum office. Can you still help win my case in immigration court if hired? Maybe. Look, I think like what you're asking, the question really is this. Is it possible to win your case in immigration court after the Asylum office already said no to you? They said no asylum for you, you don't qualify, and they sent your case over to immigration court. They referred your case, as they call it, to immigration court. The answer is absolutely. Look, there was a statistics that came out maybe, a year ago or so, showing that, I don't remember the number, but some very high percentage of cases, or at least surprisingly high to me, percentage of cases that were sent from USCIS to the immigration court ended up actually getting approved by the judge, which means that the judge disagreed with the asylum officer. The asylum officer, in a high percentage of cases, said, no, you're not qualified. They sent it to court, and the judge said, actually, you are. And people won their case. So it's not impossible. All hope is not lost after a referral from USCIS. And yeah, there's a lot that we can do in my office to try to help you win your case, to improve your chances for success, to bolster your asylum claim on paper, but also to get you ready to do a great job to explain your story and to answer the hard questions so you can win your case in immigration court. We do this. Yeah, we do this all the time. We help people with this all the time. So we should talk sooner rather than later. Okay, Opie, Yamika, why don't you go right now? Go to winasylum.com right now. WINASYLUM.com. All right. All right. Musab says, how does a request for expedited procedures work due to mental illness? Good question. The question is this. How does the process of seeking to have your asylum case, and specifically your asylum interview, expedited based on humanitarian grounds actually work? So look, if you're facing certain challenges, most often these are granted because of like health challenges, both physical health, but also mental health issues as well. You can get your interview sped up and scheduled sooner if you make a request to the asylum office to speed up your case, to expedite it based on what are called urgent humanitarian grounds. You need to provide ideally some evidence that helps support that shows that, like, look, you're struggling with something, you're suffering, and getting your interview sooner and you're getting your case done sooner would be helpful for you, for your health. If you get letters to that effect from like a health provider, that can help give you a better chance of getting approved. Now, I got to tell you, these are not usually approved. Usually these requests are denied, even from very deserving applicants. A better way to get your interview scheduled is to sue the government in a Mandamus lawsuit, an asylum delay lawsuit, which we love doing. It's much more effective, much higher success rate than an expedite request based on humanitarian concerns. Okay. Hello, I'm from Maryland, says DRA. Good to see you. Thank you for being with us. Can you go for an interview and later go to court? Well, yeah, if you get a negative decision from the asylum office at the asylum interview, as I was explaining a minute ago, and at that time when they make that negative decision, you don't have status, then yeah, they'll send your case to immigration court. But you'll be in deportation proceedings, which is not ideal. but you do get another chance, so you shouldn't give up, okay? The local lawyers are telling native countries asylum seeker that we'll do everything in our power to win asylum, specifically Asian countries, charging very what, Iftikhar? I'm not sure I follow what you're trying to say there. Let me know in a single message what you're trying to say. Mohammed says, what is the preponderance of evidence establishes recently a fundamental change in circumstances? Are you asking me what is a preponderance of evidence, or what? I'm not sure what you're actually asking with that question. Are you asking did you mean to type what if a preponderance of evidence establishes? Well, yeah, if there's been a change in circumstances such that now you really need asylum, or now you're much more likely to be persecuted in a way that would rise the level of persecution in terms of severity and would be on account of a protected ground, then yeah, that could be a changed circumstance that would allow you to get around the 1-year filing deadline. Okay. Kamal Preet says, if I've applied for asylum and I have my biometrics appointment scheduled, I feel like withdrawing my asylum application from USCIS, will I be deported? Good question. The question is this. What happens if you decide to withdraw your asylum claim that's pending with USCIS? So if you say, I don't want to apply for asylum, and you write to them and you say, I want to withdraw my claim. I want to terminate my case. I do not want to seek asylum. I withdraw my application. Well, if you don't have legal immigration status, yeah, you probably will get put in deportation proceedings. You probably will get a letter called a notice to appear that says you need to go to immigration court at a certain date and time to defend yourself in deportation proceedings. That's very, very, very high probability what will happen if you withdraw your asylum claim and you don't have legal immigration status. If you do have some other kind of status, TPS included, business-based status, whatever, and then you withdraw your asylum claim, then they will not put you in deportation proceedings. You just continue along with whatever status you had until that expires. But look, I would not withdraw your asylum claim unless you're absolutely certain about it, and I wouldn't do it before talking with an asylum lawyer about it. Okay. All right. Does Trump's executive order to recognize only 2 genders have an effect on people seeking asylum on the ground of their gender identity? Good question. Very good question. The question is this. Will Trump's recent executive order around recognizing only 2 genders impact cases for asylum that are based on gender identity? I don't think so. I don't think so. Look, it's possible. It's possible that eventually during this administration, the attorney general could make an opinion, like a formal binding opinion that says we interpret the law to not cover anymore, to not cover persons that have atypical gender identities, and basically to try to exclude that from the category, the protected characteristic of what's called membership in a particular social group. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm pretty hopeful it won't happen. I should say that. And as of right now, I would say you can definitely still win a case based on this right now. Definitely. I'm very confident about that. At least the way things are right now. Which means that if you've had a claim pending for several years, you should try to push it forward now. I think in general, the sooner you get your asylum interview, the better your chances for success. Okay. In general. But look, for reasons like this that I just told you about, like, look, it could change. The interpretation of the Trump administration could change in a way that's less favorable to certain groups. That's just another reason that, look, the sooner the better to get your interview and your decision before a potential change like that undermines your case. Okay. So can I upload additional evidence after the interview is completed while the decision is pending? I mean, look, you can. I don't think they'll probably consider it. Almost certainly won't. There's no harm. Like, there's no risk. There's no harm. It's not going to hurt your case. So I guess it doesn't hurt. So go ahead. Toyan says, thank you for your time. Please, what is your take on winning FGM cases with evidence from a U.S. doctor? Good question. The question is this. How likely are you to win your case if you were subjected to female genital mutilation and you have proof of this, or you have something from a U.S. doctor that indicates that, yeah, it looks like you were subjected to that. That's a good case. That's a strong case. First of all, I'm really sorry to hear if this happened to you or someone you care about. It's very sad. I'm sorry to hear that you're in that position. But yeah, it makes for a pretty good asylum case. It's still possible to lose. I assure you, people in this circumstance still do lose their cases, because there's a lot of immigration officers out there that are just looking for excuses to deny you. And if you make certain mistakes or don't present your case well, you can get denied even if you've been through something terrible like this, and you should, under the law, qualify for asylum, okay? But generally speaking, yes, it can make for a strong case, all right? But you should talk with an asylum lawyer about how to actually build and structure your case and how to prepare for it to give yourself the best possible chance of winning your case, okay? Toyin, we should talk. We've handled these cases. We've won these cases. We should talk. I want you to talk with one of our asylum professionals. You can do that at winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session. WINASYLUM.com. Winasylum.com. All right. Iftikhar was talking about some local attorneys saying they're pushing a lot of immigration misinformation, especially native speaker. It somehow makes bias for those without knowing the law. Could you elaborate in a generalized way? Well, Iftikhar, you're saying that there's local lawyers that are from the sort of the same country that are giving misinformation. Yeah, that happens. I don't know what to tell you about it or what to say about it other than that. But yeah, no, I do know that happens. Saeed says, can you help me seek asylum in the U.S.? I'm outside the U.S. No, Saeed, unfortunately, we're only able to help people who are already in the United States, okay? All right. Let's go to TikTok. Can I recently paroled? Let's see. Where was that? I lost it. What can you do? Oh, who is that? Kaldak says, what can you do after the NOID? NOID. Good question. Very important question. We're seeing a lot of these lately. All right. The question is this. What should you do when you receive a notice of intent to deny your asylum case from USCIS? We're talking about the NOID. NOID, we call it a NOID, just sounding out those letters, notice of intent to deny. This is when USCIS says, we think we're going to deny you. Here's why. But we're going to give you 16 days to respond and try to change our minds. Well, first of all, you need to talk with an asylum lawyer immediately. 16 days is not a lot of time. Usually you don't get that letter until 4 or 5 days or 6 days into that 16-day period. And then for a lawyer to be able to deal with it, to be able to come up with a good argument against it, is going to take several days. So you need to talk with an asylum lawyer right away. Look, it's very difficult to overcome this. It's very difficult to win your case after receiving a NOID, but it's not impossible. We've done it. We've won these cases before, and we're going to keep winning them, I believe. I'm confident about that. So we should talk as soon as you get a NOID, okay? Because you got to put together a good, strong case in writing to have a chance, all right? Potahona Potahe says, hi, Brian. Notario filled application with many errors. My friend has not received a court date yet. Should he correct the application or wait for the court date? Look, I think they should hire an asylum lawyer who can correct it for them before the individual hearing, before the documents or all documents are due in the case. We like to submit an updated I-589 that corrects any errors and updates the information. And you don't have to have a lawyer to do that. Your friend can do that. But if they're going to do it on their own, the question then that you put forth was, should they do it now or wait for the hearing? If you don't have a lawyer helping you with it, let's see. They should. I think I would definitely do it before the individual hearing, or else the judge might reject it completely. At least 30 days before the individual hearing. If we're talking about the master calendar hearing coming up, then I would say Yeah, I'd still say do it by mail before then would probably be best. Okay. Nice. Okay, nice. Okay. Nice. Thank you for that. Let's see what we got on TikTok. Question, do I have to bring my green card every time now? Do you mean, Mandy, do you mean carry it around? Yeah, I would. I would carry your green card around with you. The actual card, yeah. I applied, we've got La La Lion says, I applied for asylum since 2017, nothing yet. However, I can see the average time. So look, the question really, the issue here, the question is this. What can you do if you've been waiting for your asylum interview for several years and you're sick of waiting and you want to finally get your interview so that you can win your case and move forward with confidence, with certainty about your future, your safety, and your future in America? You should sue the government. Look, it's called a Mandamus lawsuit. It's where you file a lawsuit asking a federal judge to tell the asylum office, you need to do your job. You need to give this person their interview and their decision. It's actually an extremely powerful tool. We've been using it a ton lately in my office, and it works. Our clients love it because it works. Look, let me say that past results do not guarantee future success, right? Having said that, we filed over 100 of these lawsuits in the last year and a half, and we haven't lost one yet. Okay. Again, that doesn't guarantee that we're going to win your case or have any certain success or anything. But I think it does go to show you that, this can be a powerful thing, and our clients really love it. I think there's lots of reasons why it usually, for most people, makes sense to move your case forward as quickly as possible to give yourself the best chance for success. So if you've been waiting for multiple years, we should talk about possibly suing the government to force your case forward. Okay? If you want to talk with us, you can get set up right now with a consultation. You can do that at winasylum.com, WINASYLUM.com, okay? WINASYLUM.com. That's where you can schedule a consultation with us, okay? Please elaborate on country conditions expert for legal brief. The question is this. Do you need a country conditions expert to write an opinion for you for your asylum case? Look, we're talking here about reports that are sometimes used from experts on your country. Usually these are professors or people that study academically. The conditions in your country are usually it's the politics or the social dynamics in a country. In immigration court, I think these are pretty more common, and they're welcomed. I think judges tend to find them persuasive and helpful. But sometimes even in immigration court, they're not necessary. We don't need those. I don't think they add much value for certain countries that we're very familiar with, about which there is a lot of information, a lot of publicly available information from reputable sources that we can leverage and we cite in our legal brief and we discuss in our legal brief. And we don't need expert declarations for some of those countries, but we do use them sometimes in immigration court. At the asylum office, we never use them. Asylum officers think it's weird. It's just not a normal thing there. I don't think it's that helpful at the asylum office, so we don't use them there. Okay. But look, it's really important to still have good country conditions information. What I'm saying is that we as asylum lawyers, we don't use country conditions expert reports in cases of the asylum office and in a lot of cases immigration court also. But we do our own research at my law firm. I think that we're really good at that. We're really good at finding the kinds of reports and articles and things that back up what we're trying to say or the point that we're trying to drive home and that we need to show the asylum officer in order to win your case. We're good at that, doing that research and using those sources in our legal brief and the way that we analyze them and talk about them and fold them into our arguments in our legal brief. Okay. All right. Nice. The Only Joe says, how soon can you sue? Good question. The question is this. How long do you need to wait before filing a Mandamus lawsuit to force USCIS to finally give you your asylum interview? We're talking here about stalled asylum cases and how to get them unstuck. Well, an extremely powerful tool to do that is a Mandamus lawsuit. And the premise of this is that the government delay in your case is unreasonable, because the law says that if the government delays in a way in your case that is unreasonable, you can sue them to have a judge tell them they have to do their job and take action on your case. So the question then is, what is an unreasonable delay? What is reasonable? What's not reasonable? Well, in 2 asylum offices in the U.S., we're saying 5 years from the time you applied. That's the Houston Asylum Office and the Los Angeles Asylum Office. We're saying that we will not file a mandamus lawsuit for you unless you've been waiting at least 5 years in those 2 offices. However, for all the other asylum offices, it's less. We're doing this at only 3 years, and we're having success. So 3 years for everywhere, except for Los Angeles and Houston, and those 2, it's 5 years. Everywhere else, 3 years, and let's go. And it works. Our clients love this because it works. Okay? Is it going to be a bad percentage of winning under Trump's new... Okay, I got it. Yeah, the question is this. Is it going to get harder to win asylum under Donald Trump? Yeah, I think so. Look, there are going to be both formal policies that make it harder to win, like the way that the law is interpreted by USCIS and an immigration court is going to change. It's going to evolve in a way that will be more restrictive and mean that fewer people end up getting asylum. However, in addition to that, I believe there will also just be a growing anti-immigrant sentiment that Trump is bringing to office. And I think that these 2 things will lead to more and more denials over time. Like, I think 3 years from now, the approval rate is going to be much lower than it is right now, almost certainly, which means if you've been waiting for multiple years for your asylum interview, I think it bears talking with an asylum lawyer right now about suing the government to move forward with your case. I think the sooner you have your asylum interview, the better your chances for success. And it may make sense to do that right now before it gets worse. There's also other reasons why I think it's a good idea to have your asylum interview sooner rather than later. But the Trump effect is a big thing. It's a real thing. Okay. All right. Iftikhar, no problem. Don't worry about it. If a special child of needs for a U.S.-born child to have a bit of relief for asylum seeker, are you asking whether the fact that someone has a U.S. citizen child with special needs, will that help your asylum case? It sounds like that's what you're asking. Let me address that question. The question is this. Will the fact that you have a U.S. citizen child, a child born in the United States, who has special needs, will that help you win your asylum case? No. Look, the asylum officers don't care. They don't care about anything really other than whether you meet the strict asylum eligibility requirements. A lot of asylum applicants they spend a lot of time both in their written materials and also what they're trying to get in, what they're trying to say at the asylum interview, focusing on things that don't matter, or at least that don't help them win their asylum case. It's understandable. I could see where you would think that, something like that could be relevant for the officer to know and might help you if they know it. But it's not. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want you to try to force that into the conversation. They want to ask you questions and they want you to answer them. And these questions are about the strict eligibility requirements. They're not about your irrelevant background or how you're a great person or how you have these kids or whatever. That's not what they want. They want to know whether you meet the eligibility requirements for asylum. Okay, so you got to be prepared to give them that information in a concise and compelling, powerful way. All right. What's the possibility of winning FGM case based on threats? Threats that someone's going to do it to you, but you haven't been subjected to it yet. It's kind of tough. It's not easy because in these cases, usually the officer will just be like, "We'll just go somewhere else." If you're from, somewhere, a country where this is common, out in the countryside, in rural areas, just go to the big city. In the big city, FGM is probably not as common. They probably won't know how to find you there. Even if they find you there, the police might protect you there in the big city. It's tough to win, I think, cases based on threats of FGM. It's also tough to win based on cases based on threats against you as someone who is like the husband or the father of someone who might be subjected to FGM and you oppose it. Like if you're like, no, I refuse to let this be done to my daughter, and because of that, people are threatening you, that can be a grounds to win asylum. It's considered expression of a political opinion. I know that might sound weird, but that's how the law sees it. And so it is considered a protected characteristic that you possess that is causing them to want to harm you. But to actually convince the officer that's likely to happen is usually pretty tough. But it's not impossible. We've won these cases. We've won many cases based on actual FGM actually occurring to someone. We've won cases based on threats of it being done to someone, and we've won them based on threats against someone who refuses or stands in the way of this being done to their spouse or child. Okay. All right. That's it for today. I'm Brian Manning. I'm an asylum lawyer. I used to be an asylum officer with the government, but now as a lawyer, look, my law firm, we help immigrants all over the country to secure their future in America through asylum. If you want to talk with us, look, we'd love to talk. Go right now, schedule an asylum strategy session, okay, and a consultation. You can do that quickly, easily at winasylum.com, winasylum.com. That's where you can schedule an asylum strategy session with one of our asylum professionals. We want to talk. We want to see what's going on, tell you whether we think we can help you. And if we think that we might be able to help you, then we're gonna tell you how concretely, exactly what we're gonna do. Ahmed, I saw that you said, Ava says, Daniel says, I want a book. Good. Don't wait. Go literally right now. Type in winasylum.com and book right now, winasylum.com. And then who was it? I think it was Ahmed that said I sent you an email. Somebody said I sent you an email on TikTok. Thanks, but don't send me an email. Book a consultation. That's how we can see if we think we can help you, is through a consultation. We won't be able to do that going back and forth through email. We need to do it in the context of an asylum strategy session, which is what we call our consultation. And you can book that today by going to winasylum.com, winasylum.com. We want to talk, all right? That's it for today. Thank you for being with us. Love seeing all you guys here and talking with you guys. And supporting you. Look, it truly is a pleasure and an honor to support you in your asylum journey. See you guys. Have a good one.